I found a secret folder on my wife's laptop. What I saw inside changed everything I believed about our marriage. I never thought a simple folder on my wife's laptop could destroy everything we built. But last night, I opened her computer and saw something I'll never forget. That moment changed my entire life. We've been married for 8 years. Not perfect, but I believed we were happy. Like any couple, we had our fights and misunderstandings, but I always trusted her. She was my best friend, my partner. 3 weeks ago, she left for a girls' trip to Miami with her close friends. When she came back, everything felt different. She stopped calling me during lunch breaks like she used to. Her laughter, once warm and easy, had faded into something quiet, almost forced. The way she smiled felt rehearsed, like she was hiding a secret she didn't want me to know. I tried to ignore the feeling gnawing inside me, telling myself maybe she was just tired or stressed. But one evening, I came home early, hoping to surprise her. Instead, I caught her swiping away a message on her phone the moment I walked in. She looked up startled and said it was just work, but she'd never hidden her phone before. It was always face up on the table, always within reach. That night, my mind wouldn't let me rest. I began watching her more closely. In the following days, I noticed little things I'd never paid attention to before. She started working late, really late. When I asked about it, she said she had extra projects at work. But then one afternoon, her boss called our house and left a voicemail asking why she had left early that day. She didn't know I heard it. When I confronted her, her explanation was vague and didn't add up. She started wearing a perfume she never wore before. The scent was strong and unfamiliar. When I asked, she said it was a gift from a friend. But the way she wore it seemed different, like she wanted someone to notice. Then came the moment that broke me. One night, she left her purse on the kitchen table. I reached in for something and noticed a hotel keycard sticking out of her wallet. When I asked about it, she said it was from her Miami trip. But a quick search showed the hotel wasn't in Miami at all. It was a small boutique hotel, just a few blocks from her office. Every little lie, every strange detail piled up in my mind like a mountain I couldn't climb over. I was scared, confused, but I couldn't ignore it any longer. I didn't know what I would find when I looked deeper, but I knew I had to. After I noticed all those strange changes in her behavior, I tried to convince myself I was imagining things. Maybe the late nights were really just work piling up, a temporary stress she was dealing with. Maybe the perfume was genuinely a gift from a friend. But deep inside, a quiet voice kept whispering that this wasn't normal, that something was terribly wrong. I felt it in my gut, an ache I couldn't ignore. She started texting more secretly. I'd catch her glancing nervously at her phone whenever I entered the room, then quickly hiding it behind her back or locking the screen. There were calls from unknown numbers that came and went fast, disappearing before I could catch them. When I asked who they were, she said they were just clients or co-workers. But her eyes avoided mine, and her answers felt rehearsed, unnatural. One evening, I saw a message pop up from a man named Daniel. The text wasn't long, but the tone was flirty, playful, almost like a secret joke between two people. When I confronted her about Daniel, she said he was a coworker going through a breakup, and she was just trying to be supportive. I wanted to believe her, I really did, but the nervousness in her voice and the way she avoided eye contact told me a different story. It was the kind of nervousness that hides guilt. The late nights turned into constant absences. She said she was busy with work, but sometimes she wouldn't answer my calls or texts for hours. Her excuses became thinner, less believable. She started canceling plans with me last minute or saying she needed to stay late unexpectedly. The trust we had slowly eroded with every excuse. One night she forgot her purse at home. When I looked inside, I found a receipt from a fancy restaurant with Daniel's name printed on it. When I asked her about it, she claimed it was a mistake and she didn't know why it was there. But I had already begun piecing together a story I didn't want to believe. The receipt was dated a night when she said she was working late. I started checking her phone when she wasn't around, something I never thought I'd do. I saw messages deleted almost immediately after she read them, hidden conversations in apps I didn't recognize, And once, I caught her typing a message, then quickly closing the app when I walked into the room. Each secret made my heart sink deeper. The more I dug, the more I felt trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I was scared, confused, desperate for answers, but terrified of what I might find. Every moment spent pretending everything was fine was another moment lost to a growing suspicion that our marriage was breaking apart. And then the real shock came. The moment I found the folder on her laptop, the folder named simply Daniel. Finding that folder named Daniel was like stepping off a cliff into complete darkness. I didn't want to open it, but my hands moved on their own. Inside there were dozens of photos, her and him, dinners, walks in the park, selfies at places she never told me about. Each picture was a knife twisting in my heart. There were screenshots of text conversations too. Flirty messages, late-night plans, secret meetings. The lies stacked up into a mountain I couldn't climb. Every smile in those photos screamed betrayal. Every moment she had hidden from me was now undeniable proof. I remembered all those nights she said she was working late, the times she said she was helping a coworker, the empty bed when I came home late. I replayed every conversation, searching for moments that didn't make sense, little lies I hadn't noticed before. I tried to confront her carefully once, asking about Daniel. She denied everything and said I was imagining things. But I wasn't crazy. The evidence was right there on her laptop, glowing on the screen. That night, sleep was impossible. My mind raced through memories, doubts, and what-ifs. How long had this been going on? Was it just a fling or something more? The questions burned inside me without answers. The next day, I found an email from Daniel in her inbox. Plans to meet again. The date was the next day. Panic filled me. Should I confront her now or wait and gather more proof? The fear of what I might find was paralyzing. I started watching her more, tracking her phone, following small clues. One evening, she said she was at work, but I saw her car parked near a hotel downtown. I followed her to a restaurant where Daniel was waiting. They laughed, touched hands, and kissed in the dim light. I felt sick. My heart shattered in that parking lot. Everything I believed was a lie. I didn't know what to do next. Should I confront her, break our family, or stay silent and suffer alone? The answers were nowhere to be found. The secret folder was just the beginning. What came after broke me completely. After that night, everything changed between us. The distance grew wider with each passing day. She guarded her phone like it was a treasure chest full of secrets, changing passwords regularly and deleting messages almost immediately before I had the chance to see them. Whenever I asked where she was going, her answers became vague and rehearsed, just meeting some coworkers or running errands. But I knew better. Her eyes betrayed her every time, flickering with guilt and fear, as if she was hiding a dark truth she couldn't share. I began noticing small signs everywhere. She started avoiding me in the mornings, quickly leaving the room before I could speak. During family dinners, I caught her checking her phone under the table, sneaking peeks at messages when she thought no one was watching. Once, I found a small folded note with Daniel's name scribbled on it, hidden between the pages of a book she was reading. It was a cruel reminder that her secret world was right there, inches from me, while I was left in the dark. Every secret text, every stolen glance at her phone felt like another wound ripping open inside my heart. I felt trapped in a nightmare where I was powerless to stop the pain. I replayed our conversations in my mind, searching for clues I had missed, moments when she had lied or avoided my questions. The doubt gnawed at me until I was consumed by suspicion and hurt. One night, after days of barely speaking, I finally confronted her. I sat her down, my voice trembling but resolute, and asked her to be honest about Daniel, the folder on her laptop, the photos, the messages. At first, she denied everything, her voice firm but shaky, as if trying to convince herself as much as me. Then, after a long silence filled with tears and trembling hands, the walls came crashing down. She confessed. The affair had started months ago, she said, when she felt lonely, disconnected, and unheard. She admitted to the lies and the betrayal, but claimed she never meant for it to go this far. She said she was scared to tell me, afraid of destroying what we had built, yet unable to stop the deception. I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to scream, to lash out in anger and make her feel the same pain she had caused. Another part felt hollow, crushed beneath the weight of betrayal and heartbreak, as if my entire world had been torn apart. The woman I trusted with everything, the life we had built together. It all felt like a cruel illusion, a fragile house of cards shattered in an instant. She begged for forgiveness, promising to end things with Daniel and work on rebuilding our marriage. But the damage was deep and raw. I couldn't stop seeing the pictures in my mind, the secret folder flashing on the laptop screen. I couldn't erase the feeling of being lied to every day. I questioned if I could ever trust her again or if the foundation of our relationship had been irreparably broken. Days passed in heavy silence, filled with cold stares and unspoken fears. I was torn between anger and sorrow, unsure if I wanted to fight for our marriage or let it slip away. The love I once felt battled with the pain of betrayal, leaving me lost and confused. All I wanted was to turn back time and never have opened that laptop, to live in the blissful ignorance of what could have been. But the truth had been revealed, and there was no going back. That night when I finally confronted her remains the most painful moment I've ever experienced. I stood there in the dim glow of our living room, the laptop in my hands displaying the folder named Daniel. My heart was racing so fast I thought it might explode. She stepped out of the bathroom, saw the screen, and froze. Her face drained of color, eyes wide and silent. For the first time in weeks, there were no lies, no excuses. Only raw truth hanging between us. "It's not what it looks like," she whispered, her voice shaking like a leaf in the wind. But it was exactly what it looked like. The photos of them laughing over candlelit dinners, the snapshots of stolen moments in parks, the text messages filled with secret jokes and late-night plans, all undeniable proof that the woman I loved had been living a double life. While I believed in us, she was sharing parts of herself with another man. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply closed the laptop and walked out of the room, feeling the weight of betrayal settle like a heavy stone in my chest. The silence was deafening. I was suffocating under a raw, aching pain I'd never known before. The following days were a blur of emotions. Waves of anger crashed into sorrow, confusion tangled with despair. She sent me desperate messages begging for forgiveness, pleading to explain, promising she would end it and fix everything. But how could I trust someone who had shattered the very foundation of our marriage? I kept replaying every memory, the laughter, the shared dreams, the whispered promises of forever. Were they all lies? Had any of it been real? The uncertainty gnawed at me like a relentless storm. In quiet moments, I wrestled with the thought of whether forgiveness was even possible. Could I ever look at her the same way again? Could the cracks in our relationship be mended? Or were we beyond repair? The road ahead was unclear and frightening. I knew I had to focus on myself, to heal, to find strength, to decide what I wanted from life. I wasn't ready to make choices about us, but I understood one thing clearly. My world had changed forever. Sometimes I wondered if I should have left the laptop unopened. Maybe ignorance would have been a kinder fate, letting me live in blissful unawareness. But I knew deep down that the truth, as painful as it was, needed to surface. Only then could I face reality. The folder named Daniel wasn't just a collection of photos and messages, it was the breaking point. It destroyed the life I thought I had but also forced me to face what was real. Perhaps, in time, this painful truth would be the first step toward building something new, whether that meant healing together or moving apart. Now, sitting alone with my thoughts, I realize love alone isn't enough. Trust, once broken, is the hardest thing to rebuild. But life goes on, with or without her. And I have to find my own way forward, whatever that may be. Would you have confronted her immediately? Or chosen to live in denial? Could you forgive a betrayal like this? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to know. If you've ever faced betrayal, or just want to hear more real stories like this, please like, subscribe, and check out my other videos. Your support means the world to this new channel. Thank you for helping us grow.